welcome to another episode of the Crispy Noodle Podcast. Let us be the Crispy Noodle in your vegetarian salad of life and boring news, folks. It's our job to give you some interesting bits in the world of sports, entertainment, odd news, and whatever else we happen to stumble across in this hour-long weekly podcast. Thank you for joining us. I'm Richard Liebig.
And I'm Michael Costanzo.
And we are here to give you some of those tasty morsels of news in the sports, entertainment, and odd news realm. We've been off for a couple weeks. We had a bye week inadvertently, just like the Eagles did, so that worked out.
Every once in a while, you just gotta step away.
Yeah. So we had a bye week there, so we have a lot to get caught up on in terms of those arenas. But before we get into sports, entertainment, and odd news, Mikey, how you doing? I haven't seen you in 2 weeks.
I know. I feel like it's been forever. I've been busy. My fiance planned a surprise trip to Colonial Williamsburg for us to get away for the weekend. It was quite the trek down there and back. It was like a 7-hour drive down, 6.5-hour drive back, but it was well worth it. If you've never been to Colonial Williamsburg, anybody out there, it's basically they took this small town in southeastern Virginia and they're like, we're going to preserve it in its colonial likeness. And they have a whole bunch of reenactors come in, professors and students from the local college, William and Mary. I guess people volunteering their time, paid staff to just operate this town like they would if it were an actual functioning colonial town. They have people there, and a lot of the buildings are open for you to go in, explore. The coolest thing to me was all the different trade shops that you can walk into. So, for example, a good colonial town would have a cobbler or a printing press, and you would go in there, and people are working on the machines, building the various items, and
they're cobbling.
They're cobbling away, but they're doing it with the tools and the processes and the methods that they would back then. And I didn't realize it when I got there. I'm like, oh, they're just like pretending, right? Like, no, they're
cobbling.
Like, they were actually cobbling. Like, I walked in and I was talking to the lady at the woodworking place, and they're like, yeah, we've been working on that harpsichord since December of last year. And I'm like, oh, they're actually doing it. Like, for real.
Yes.
When we were there, they were getting ready to fire 20,000 clay bricks they had made. That was their brick firing for the year.
Yes, the brick firing festival.
To reconstruct the buildings. They fire their own bricks, and I'm like, oh my God, it's like legit. But probably the highlight for me was we also had a chance to fire muskets.
Yes.
Which was really, really cool.
I saw this on your social media.
Yeah.
So what was shooting? That looked like a 7-foot musket. It was taller than you.
I'm almost 6 feet tall, and it was taller than me, and it's heavy too. It was a 10-pound gun, but it's because it's so long, it's like unwieldy.
Yeah.
So you're like trying to aim this like 10-pound broomstick, right?
This is my boomstick.
And and there's no sights on it. So you're just like looking down this steel tube that's 10 pounds and it's completely unwieldy. And the thing that I didn't really appreciate, like, it logically that with a flintlock gun, the explosion is happening on the outside of the gun.
Yeah.
And it's propelling the musket through the tube.
It's in your face.
That didn't click to me until that trigger clicked, because I've seen imagery and everything of like the little poof, but no, you're making an explosion like 4 inches from your face.
You got a flamethrower essentially in front of you.
If I were the man I was 5 years ago, I'd take a flamethrower to this place.
Yeah, you're basically almost there.
Let me tell you, the first time I pulled that trigger, I was like, oh, because I was not prepared for just the heat, the smell, the percussion of it, like right there next to your face. But I got to tell you, it was exhilarating. I've fired both machine guns in Miami and muskets in Virginia.
You're inadvertently becoming a gun expert.
It's so weird. I've fired like 6 different guns now, but like from both ends, like automatic machine guns and like single shot barrel loaded muskets. Like the whole.
You're basically going to be Rick from Pawn Stars. You're going to end up shooting like every single gun in existence.
You give me another couple years and I'll do them all.
Yeah.
The musket was way more satisfying and way more interesting than the machine guns, because I made this point to the range guy in Williamsburg. Both me and Jordan fired the machine guns. We had like 80+% accuracy. It didn't, I apologize to like actual gun aficionados out there, it was not that difficult to hit a target from like 30 yards. Like 80+% hit where exactly where we wanted to go. At 25 yards, firing that musket was like a science experiment, because there's no rifling in the barrel, and it's all like physical, like explosions on the outside of the gun propelling, you know, the explosion down the tube and pushing the musket out. And it's so unwieldy to aim. There's no sights. You're kind of just like pointing.
Taking a guess.
Yeah, you're just taking a guess. And eventually I got to the point where I noticed that my musket was consistently dropping to the lower right. So I'm like aiming like 2 feet above and to the side of where I want it to get it to hit where I want it to hit. This is from 25 yards out. It's not from like 100, 200 yards. You know, it's like right there.
Yeah.
But there's just something.
That's when you're almost better off just using the bayonet. Just run up to the dude.
That's the point that they made. They said that, I mean, this was also a history lesson. They're like, the reason why, you know, the revolutionaries were so successful is because they're like, screw it. Let's just take the bullets out. Let's just charge them.
Charge!
Because it's so inaccurate, and you could survive a musket shot at 100 yards. So if you can cover 100 yards before they can load it in 17 seconds, you're going to win that fight hand to hand.
Yeah. If the defensive line can get to you that fast, it's not going to matter the weapons you have.
Exactly. Always back to football.
Yeah.
But
I like that.
I liked it. But yeah, anybody out there, if you haven't been to Colonial Williamsburg, if you're into that kind of like living history, that's what they call it, like a living history reenactment, like go check it out. It's absolutely spectacular. You can do the whole town in maybe like 2 or 3 days, full days. There's a ton there to see though. Like ghost tours, speaking tours. You can like watch pirates get hung. You can attend a witch trial. There was too much to do in the 1.5 days that we were there. But like, if you can get like a 3-day span there, you could probably see and do the majority of it.
Okay,
it's really
so
cool.
there you go. A vacation getaway review from Mikey over there.
5 out of 5. Highly recommend.
All right. So there you go. Quick little review from Mikey.
But what have you been up to?
So yeah, we had the bye week. So, you know, we took the week off.
Yeah.
And then before that, we did the Crispy Compact Communique.
Yeah. It's been a while.
Because, yeah, our schedules, got thrown into a loop because of Halloween, because that was crazy.
Yeah, that's right. It was like on Halloween.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, this is like the first time I've seen you in person in like 3 weeks. It's crazy when you think about that.
It is. It's weird.
Yeah. One of the things that happened in the middle of those 3 weeks is something I think you're going to find very funny. So our local grocery store, Giant, they do the thing where like if you shop there so much, you get certain points, and you have enough points, you redeem, something.
Yeah.
My mom the other night was like, oh, I have a turkey, and oh my gosh, I'm going to have enough points for another turkey already.
2 turkeys.
And I'm like, well, why don't you just cook the turkey?
Yeah.
And she's like, well, then I got to make a whole dinner out of it. And I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
Then pick a day. Yeah. Like,
yeah.
Nothing's going to stop you.
Rich is definitely not going to turn down a second Thanksgiving.
Well, so instead of second Thanksgiving,
you got a prequel.
We called it like preseason Thanksgiving.
Love it.
So we chose a Sunday, and my mom just cooked like this big Thanksgiving dinner.
Love it.
And invited like my aunts over. It literally was like
it was just Thanksgiving, just early.
Right.
I love it.
We called it preseason Thanksgiving.
You know what it is? It's preparation. You're training for the actual event.
Yes.
I love it.
This is, baseball has spring training. The football's got the preseason. This is what it is.
I think, crazy idea, we should have preseasons for all major holidays.
Yes.
I'm going to get my mom to whip up some fish for next week. For
right.
pre-7 fishes.
Right. You got to get ready. You got to get
ready. Got to get into the groove. Yeah, exactly.
Right. So
I like it.
Start the training.
We used to have 2 Thanksgivings. My older cousin used to like Thanksgiving for his birthday meal, which was like a week after Thanksgiving. So we always had like
Thanksgiving.
Thanksgivings on back-to-back weekends almost sometimes.
Yeah.
Ain't nothing wrong with it.
No, Thanksgiving's a great meal.
It really
Why
is.
not?
Really is.
So, yeah, I thought you would like that. We ended up having a preseason Thanksgiving.
You're speaking my kind of language.
Yeah. So, I don't know if this sticks.
You got to make it a thing.
Yeah, we gotta have you enjoy the preseason,
Pre-Thanksgiving, pre-Christmas, just every holiday. You got to be prepared.
Yeah, so that's what I was up to in the couple weeks that I haven't seen you. So, all right, how about we get to the news at hand now? We got a lot of news to talk about. We've been out of action for a little bit, so let's launch into the first segment that we do. It's called the Sports Sampler.
So you're not good at sports. It's a very small part of life.
Sports. In your face. Ha ha!
I can barely do two things at once.
The first segment that we do.
I can barely. I missed.
That's what happens. You miss 1 week and the wheels come off.
We missed 1 week, and I totally forgot how to do these two buttons on the left and right side of me.
I can't even get on his queso because for 10 years you've been the only person with the buttons, so I can't even judge.
All right. Anyway, we got there. It's time for Sports
That's
Sampler.
right. We got there. One might say that the Eagles barely got there. The last regular season game that we watched, which we didn't get to talk about last week.
No.
But it being the bye week, we could go back in time and talk about it anyway.
Review how the Eagles were able to beat Dallas.
Yeah. Barely.
Barely. Yeah, it was very frustrating because that seemed like a game neither side wanted to win. It was like both sides were committing atrocious penalties, atrocious mistakes.
It was painful.
Yeah.
I think that last drive
there was ineptitude of
there
the
was
highest
a
order.
stat. If everybody can throw their minds back to that last game, there was a stat at one point that in Dallas's, I think they drove like 90 yards to almost win the whole thing. And I think out of those 90 yards, I think it was something like 50 plus yards were from penalties committed by the Eagles. It was every single play. It was almost, if I wasn't so stressed and frustrated, I'd be laughing. If it were any other two teams, it was every single play. There's a penalty.
Yep. And then the script reversed, and then Dallas got all the penalties.
Oh, man. It was too stressful.
Yeah. It was ridiculous. It's just like when you think the Eagles are going to find a way to lose the game, Dallas came through in the clutch and found an interesting way to lose as well.
Dallas was jealous. They were like, we can't let them beat us at being bad.
Yeah.
They had to outdo us in that. I think that's the trick to beating them. Just make them jealous and make them want to outdo us in being bad.
Yeah, so in the end, though, Eagles were able to prevail 28-23 in that game, and then they went off into the bye week, which was much needed. Jalen Hurts definitely looked sluggish in the second half of that game. I think he's dealing with an injury that we don't quite know exactly what it is yet.
Yeah.
So he needed the bye week. We definitely needed a bye week for Dallas Goedert because he's going to be out a couple weeks.
Yep. He had a broken forearm.
Yeah.
I think it was. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think everybody just needed the bye week. We need to get Cam Jurgens back. We need to get Jalen Hurts rested up. I think we also needed the bye week to kind of like reassess on offense as well. That's kind of been the big problem is like, and I've been saying this, like one game, one guy will go off, another game, another guy will go off. But like, I feel like nobody can get all on the same page all at the same time. It's always like everything towards one guy. Like our ground game has been completely non-existent.
That's worrisome.
For a while.
That's worrisome because
we had like three games where DeAndre Swift went over 100 yards and then just nothing.
Yeah. He needs this to be more involved in, running the clock down. Like that's how you win games.
Yeah.
You got to be able to run the clock.
Grind it out.
Yeah, and it seems like they've kind of abandoned the run.
Yeah. It's very worrisome. Hopefully they were able to get some of that stuff sorted out during the bye week. The other big thing is just we needed the bye week to get everybody, like I said, back on the same page. I think one of the big problems on defense has been a lack of consistency, not necessarily in the play on the field. There's been inconsistency with that, but just in the personnel. I mean, that defensive backfield has rotated so much. They haven't had the same set of 4 or 5 guys for like 2 straight weeks the entire season. So hopefully after the bye week, we'll get Bradley Roby back. We'll get our newest safety up to speed.
Yep.
We'll get everybody healthy and on the same page for the first time all year. I'm kind of hopeful for the second half of the season. What about you? I mean, even though we've had some rocky games. We're still 8-1. Let's take the pulse of the team at the midway point. How do you feel going into the second half?
I'm a little worried because
You're worried?
the next couple games, this stretch of games is brutal.
Let's talk through it. This is Eagles talk therapy.
Yes, that's what we do the podcast for, actually.
Tell me about it, Rich.
Because it's rough. You got Chiefs, Bills, Niners, Cowboys, Seahawks.
I would agree at the beginning of the season, the Niners and Bills are ice cold.
Niners, no. Niners, they turned it on after the bye week. They trounced the Jaguars.
They did, but that entire team runs through McCaffrey. You stop him, that team is Brock Purdy is not. He's not somebody that you can rely on to win games outright. I don't think.
I think you're selling them a little short. I'm still nervous. And I bet you the 49ers, too, have circled that Eagles matchup because they were so salty about losing the championship game last year. I think that's going to be a loss. If I had to take a guess right now between those 5 games,
San Fran is the most definite loss.
I'm going Chiefs is a loss. Spoiler alert, because we're going to talk about it in the Fantastic Four picks. I have a feeling the Chiefs is going to be a loss. The Bills now is actually the one I agree with you with. I think the Eagles could actually take that one from the Bills. Bills have been looking very sloppy lately. That seems like a recipe to take one there. Niners, I think, is going to be a loss. Dallas on the second time, I think it's going to be a loss because usually we split Dallas.
Yeah.
And then Seattle, Geno Smith doesn't make too many mistakes. Like that's got to be a game the Eagles show up and put together a full 0 to 60 minute solid game because if they make mistakes, Seattle will capitalize on it.
Weirdly, I feel the most concerned about Seattle.
Yeah.
Because Seattle always has our number. The Bills I'm not too concerned about right now. Dallas, I think that we are better than Dallas, just flat out better than Dallas. I don't think this previous game really showed that to the best of its ability, but I think that we have more talent than Dallas, and we have a better winning mindset than Dallas. Like, Dak Prescott goes out of bounds on the 2-yard line.
Yeah, that was dumb.
They whatever it is that Dallas thinks they have, they don't. They don't have that killer winner instinct. The 49ers, I will agree with you there. I think that they are going to put all of their effort and energy into winning that game, and that will lose them ultimately in the long run because they are so laser focused on it. That's why they dropped 3 games in a row randomly for no reason whatsoever.
Yeah, it just didn't feel like it.
They just didn't. And again,
they didn't feel like
the 49ers, whatever they think they have, they don't because they don't have that killer winner instinct either. I know they crushed the Jags, but
so here's my so basically here's my thing, my scale.
Yeah.
If the next 5 games, if they win 2 games, I'll say that's average. I'll say okay, that's what I was kind of expecting. 3 or more, I'm like, wow, all right, you guys proved me wrong.
I think they're going to win 3.
If they go 1 or 0, ooh, then we got problems.
They're definitely not going to win just 1. I think they're going to win 3 of them.
Okay, then I'm happy with that.
Yeah.
I'm very happy with that.
Yeah. So I'm a little bit hopeful. I'll leave my hopefulness at this. Every single time in the Eagles' almost 100 years as a franchise that they've started 8-1, they've made the championship or Super Bowl.
Yeah, that's right. I saw that stat. Yeah.
They've also, I mean, by that logic, they any championship that they've won. We've also lost a few, but we lost the last one. So
the important thing is that you get there.
Logic goes that we'll win this one.
Yeah,
well, that's how it works. That's how roulette works, right? It goes red,
No.
black, red. Yeah, that's how it. How it goes. Yeah.
No, sorry, Mike.
I used that logic for the Bills, and I was right.
Did it go back and forth?
Yeah, it did.
Oh my gosh! All right, you're ridiculous.
Sometimes it's that simple, guys.
You're ridiculous.
Hey, you heard it here first. Super Bowl win.
All right. Well, anyway, the whole point is that I think that this next stretch is going to be brutal. This is where we're going to find out if they're really meant to go for a deep playoff run. Because I think they really could lose a couple of games here.
They could. This has always been that portion of the schedule that everybody circled and said, this is going to prove the mettle of this team.
Yeah.
I'm feeling more positive than I did at the beginning of the season about this stretch because some of these teams have shown that they are fallible.
Yeah.
Who I previously thought were infallible.
So you know what? With that in mind, I think that's a good way to go right to our segment where we have 4 games that we think you should keep an eye out for and that you should watch. And we're going to give our predictions on them in our Fantastic Four picks. You ready, Mike?
Let's do it.
There you go. We got music again. Fantastic Four picks.
Yay, music. First up, we have a fantastic AFC North Division rivalry game. This is a Thursday night game, so if you're listening to this when the podcast comes out, make sure you tune in as soon as possible. We have the Cincinnati Bengals at the Baltimore Ravens. I think this is a little bit of a contentious one because a lot of people really like the Ravens. I'm not so keen on them.
Yeah, you're a little bit of a Ravens hater over there.
I'm a little bit of a Ravens hater right now, but I want to get your perspective first, Rich. Who do you think is going to win this one?
Yeah, you know, I'm a little leery on this Bengals team. They've had some big wins, but they've all been against non-conference opponents, teams that you don't really face a whole lot. So I don't know if I'm really thoroughly impressed by the Bengals. I still think there's something wrong with Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase. They seem to be not at 100%. There seems to be some sort of injuries that have been nagging them this season, and I think that's led to a couple of losses that they might have been able to have turned around. Also, this is going to be a short week, Thursday Night Football, that usually is not good for the away team going into that matchup. I think it's safe to go with the Ravens at home. I think, you know, they just have a dominant defense right now. Lamar Jackson might not be mistake-proof, but I think he's doing enough to lead this team to victory. I think just my gut, I'm going Ravens. I'm going my gut, Ravens.
Well, I'm probably wrong, but I just don't see the hype with the Ravens. Everybody's like, Lamar Jackson, he deserves that contract. I mean, sure, I guess because he's their guy, but he's put the ball on the ground 15 times in 10 games. He's a turnover machine.
Well, it's 15 turnovers because what was it? It was 10 interceptions,
10 picks, 5 fumbles,
something like that. Yeah,
something ridiculous. I mean, he's turning it over a lot. More than that, they keep losing games against division rivals. I know you say that the Bengals are only beating non-conference teams. The Ravens are also losing the most important games. The last game that these guys had, when the Bengals had a clearly injured Joe Burrow, the Bengals came within 3. Division games are tough. They're close. That's just a 3-point separation when Joe Burrow was basically playing in a wheelchair. I think they can get it done this time. I think, despite all the odds, I'm going to go with the underdog. We'll see how it goes. Something about the Ravens right now. Yeah, they have a great defense, but that offense, they're finding ways to lose games that they should win. And that worries me. The Bengals have clawed their way back from everybody thought they were out of it. They're right in the thick of it now. So
I will say, though, for betting purposes, Bengals in a teaser might be very interesting to look at.
It's close. It's not that big. It's not that big of a spread.
Yeah.
Despite everybody's fervor with the Ravens, it's not that big of a spread.
So if you're a fan of teasers, I would look at the Bengals.
Well, guess what? We're not done with the AFC North just yet. We're traveling to the other 2 teams. It's Pittsburgh Steelers traveling to the Cleveland Browns. Rich, how do you feel about this one? Not 2 teams we thought we'd be talking about this season, but they are, again, both doing pretty well. It's a really, really tough division. They're all just chomping at the bit, cannibalizing each other. Who's going to come out on top?
Yeah, this one is going to be a classic AFC North showdown. But the Cleveland Browns have really put together a formidable squad, especially on defense. That defense is nasty.
They're for real.
Yeah.
They are for real.
Yeah, and I think despite all the injuries the Browns have suffered, with losing Chubb this year, that hurt them, but they are still bouncing back and winning games. I think they're comfortable at home. I'm going to go Cleveland in this one.
Yeah, I'm going to go Cleveland as well. They are the real deal, much to my chagrin because I'm not a Deshaun Watson fan,
Yeah.
but they're winning games in spite of him.
A little bit, yep.
You know, like he's only got like 7 TDs, 4 interceptions on the year. He really hasn't been doing anything. But
There was a stretch where he didn't want to play.
He's just like, I can't play. They're like, why? He's like, I don't know. So
I'm hurt a little bit.
So, they're doing it without Watson. They're doing it without Chubb. They're doing it with just that,
core.
That defense is so good.
Yeah.
If they had even a tiny bit of offense, the conversation would be, Browns deep in the playoffs. I think it should be Browns deep in the playoffs, even with the lack of offense. I think they're going to win it at home as well.
Yep.
Next up, we have the Las Vegas Raiders traveling to Miami to face off against the Dolphins. It's the only two other teams on the schedule this week with winning records. So, Rich, who's it going to be?
Oh, that's why you chose this
That's
game?
why I chose it.
Okay. The Raiders have a winning record?
They're 5-5.
Wow.
Yeah, they came back out of nowhere. So, is it real? Is the Raiders, everybody's saying that the new interim coach kind of turning the culture around?
Well, it does rally the troops. Everybody's back is against the wall after firing Josh McDaniels.
Do you want me to make this simple for you? The spread right now is 12 for Miami, and according to ESPN Analytics, they have a 91% chance of winning.
Yeah, go Dolphins. Yeah, the Dolphins should win this one.
Like I said, I picked it because it was the only other matchup with two teams with winning records.
Now, how about with 12 points? Who do you go with?
Raiders.
No, I think Dolphins could beat that spread.
They're gonna cover
They
it?
could. They could.
Wow,
I could
really?
see that.
Two full touchdowns.
They could. I could see it.
All right.
Unless they get the Tua.
Which is always a possibility. What's his
Right.
name? Max Crosby on Raiders? He's pretty good.
But I'm going to, if you put a gun to my head and said which point spread would you take, I would take Dolphins. I think they could cover that.
Well, there you go. Dolphins covering
Yeah.
12. Finally, though, we have our very own hometown Philadelphia Eagles traveling to Kansas City to face off against Taylor Swift. The Kansas City Chiefs. Rich.
Bet that Taylor Swift is going to show up in some sort of half and half jersey. I want that.
She came into this city for 3 days straight, and she said, I'm actually an Eagles fan. If she goes there and wears a Chiefs jersey, she can't come back here and say that she's an Eagles fan again.
No, she's going to have to wear a half and half jersey.
She has to wear a half and half jersey. Or just like
and it works. Like just
it
put
works.
Kelsey, yeah.
Or just wear a generic Kelsey shirt.
Yeah. So it'll work.
Will the power of Taylor Swift propel the Chiefs to victory over the Eagles? Because I don't think it's going to be their offense.
Well, I know. You're down on Kansas City.
I am. They are vulnerable.
I go back to Andy Reid. Andy Reid is nearly flawless after a bye week. You give someone like Andy Reid an extra week to game plan. He's going to find weaknesses. He's going to have a backup plan to the backup plan, and a backup plan to the backup to the backup plan. All true. You're going into Kansas City as well. That's going to be a tough environment, And Kansas City, they've been winning games because of their defense. You've been saying the offense has taken a step back. I think it's more the defense has really stepped up. Kansas City has lost pieces on the offensive side of the ball, but Kansas City has been winning games with their defense this year. That scares me. I think this is also the first time I'm picking against the Eagles. I'm going Kansas City in this one.
Wow. Well, I'm going to be a homer here. I'm going to go Eagles because Kansas City really only has Travis Kelce. And if Taylor Swift is not in attendance right now, I think she's in South America.
She'll come back.
Travis Kelce does not perform well when she's not there. Do you think she's going to come? She's going to fly from Buenos Aires to Kansas City?
Sure. Oh, yeah. They got billions of dollars. That's nothing. Have you not watched Succession?
Yes.
They just go all
just
around
do whatever.
the world just on a whim. This is nothing.
However, Taylor Swift aside, the same argument you use for San Fran, I'm going to use here for the Eagles. That after that Super Bowl, something in the Eagles kind of broke. And they've been focused on coming back and proving that they can actually beat this team. After the bye, they're going to be super motivated. They're going to have extra time to game plan. I know Andy Reid is almost perfect. But the one thing we didn't have in the Super Bowl that we will have here is the best pass rush in the league, bar none. You rattle Mahomes, you throw off his time with Travis Kelce, Taylor Swift or not, that is going to break that offense. If they can just, stay in control on our offensive side of the ball, they do have a real shot of winning this game. We're not supposed to win it, which means we're going to, obviously do the opposite and win it. It's as simple as that. It's as simple as that. That's the Eagles.
I like that logic. We're not supposed to win this game, so we're going to win it.
We always do the opposite. We were supposed to crush the Jets and lose to Miami. We lost to the Jets and crushed Miami.
There you go. Fantastic. So there you go. That is our fantastic 4 picks for week number 11 with excellent analysis from Mike Costanzo.
Spotless.
Yes. But we're not done sports because we do have a 3-minute drill to get to. So I am going to have the clock armed, and we're going to try and tackle this topic in 3 minutes or less. You ready, Mike?
Let's do it.
All right. Clock is armed. There you go.
So
What is it?
I just referenced 2 teams from the AFC East, the New York Jets and the Miami Dolphins. And this week in the 3-minute drill, we have a little bit of a topic of discussion. Is the AFC East in turmoil? Before the season, everyone was saying that the AFC East was the division to beat in the NFL. They were the best in the NFL. Now, though, midway through the season, I think they have more controversy and struggles than actual wins. We have the Bills, shocking collapse, ice cold right now, fired their OC. The Dolphins showed that they are very stoppable. The Jets cannot find any kind of offense, like at all, like nothing, to pair with that incredibly talented defense. And now rumors are swirling that Bill Belichick is on the chopping block, that he might get fired, he might get traded, he might just leave. I don't know. What's going on with the AFC East? Are they maybe the worst division of football now?
Well, not the worst division, because there's definitely a couple worse ones than them. But it is a worse division than what we thought going into this season.
Far worse.
And my disappointment is really with the Bills. I think their Super Bowl window has officially closed.
Yeah.
Josh Allen looks like he's taken a step back. He's been making a lot of turnovers. You want to talk about a quarterback making turnovers?
Yep.
It's Josh Allen. It's not Lamar Jackson has always kind of been a little bit mistakey, but Josh Allen has really regressed this season.
Well, it just goes to show, I mean, the age-old thing when it comes to turnovers is when you have a player that turns the ball over that much, it's really hard to win games, and eventually it comes back and bites him in the ass. Happened with the Eagles against the Jets. It can happen to the Ravens, and it's been happening to the Bills. Protecting the ball is paramount in the NFL. Teams are too good and too close. You can have the Broncos beat up on really good teams just because of a couple of turnovers.
Yeah,
the Dolphins lost a game outright by a defensive touchdown by the Chiefs. So the Bills are the most shocking team there. But I guess the point I'm getting at is that I guess we shouldn't have been shocked, since Josh Allen leads the league in turnovers since 2018. He's led the league every single year for the past 5 years. And now the hens are coming home to roost.
Yeah, it's a shame. Because the Bills, they seem like they should have been a Super Bowl contender, and they never got there.
Yeah.
So that's been a big disappointment. Definitely the Patriots. I mean,
we didn't expect them to do much, but
this is a horrible end to Bill Belichick's career.
I didn't expect them to be this bad.
Yeah.
I thought, they'd probably have a losing record, but maybe 7-10. Not, what are they, 2-7 now?
Yeah, they're contending for a top 5 draft pick.
Go for it.
Yeah, and the Jets just, sorry, losing Aaron Rodgers just sucks. Sorry about that. So there you go.
Division in disarray.
The scream means the 3 minutes is up. So there you go. A nice 3-minute drill there to end the sports sampler. I missed that scream. That felt good to get that scream sound effect back. Get my soundboard back again.
I know.
It's been a while, so definitely feels good to be back here in person doing a regular episode of the Crispy Noodle podcast with our wacky sound effects and music and our segments in full force. So, but on that note, though, we do have to take a break to recover and get ready for our next part of the show, where we're going to talk about entertainment and the odd news in the entertainment entree and the non-fortune cookie odd news, respectively. And we got a lot of topics in entertainment we got to get to, because we missed the end of the strike, the actors' strike.
Yep, lots of big news.
We're going to cover that when we see you on the back end of the break. Don't go anywhere. This is the Crispy Noodle Podcast.
Ready for the weekend? Happy Friday. Hi, my name's Marie, and I'm an artist who's been making Happy Friday doodles every week for over 7 years. And now you can own my art collection in this Volume 1 and Volume 2 art series. These doodles span across multiple themes, yearly festivities, various countries, languages, and more. Both coffee table books have something for everyone and are the perfect conversation starter or gift for a friend. Really, anyone who enjoys a good weekend. Available on Amazon, Ingram, BookBaby,
Barnes & Noble,
and more. Visit happyfridaydoodles.com/books and get your copies today. Let's celebrate the best day of the week. Happy Friday.
The taste of French champagne has always been celebrated for its excellence. There's a California champagne by Paul Masson, inspired by that same French excellence. It's fermented in the bottle, and like the best French champagne, it's vintage dated. Paul Masson's superb taste shouldn't be too surprising. This champagne doesn't come from France, but it was created by a man who did, Paul Masson. Paul Masson will sell no wine before it's time.
Yeah! All right. That loan approval machine rocks.
Oh yeah, I loving that we're using our break for ridiculous celebrity commercial breaks that actually were aired,
I love it.
because that just makes me feel better about myself.
I mean, fair. That's true. You
Yeah.
will never sink to that level.
Yeah, I mean, or if I am, I better be getting paid a crap ton of money.
That's true. Let me clear this up. I'll sink to whatever level people want me to for the right price.
Yes,
I'll go all the way down.
it needs to be well worth,
Yeah.
that.
It needs to be loan approval machine kind of money.
Yes.
How much do you think they got paid for that ad? Like a stupid amount of money.
Here's the better question: what did Orson Welles get paid for that champagne commercial? Where we have the clip where he was drunk off his ass the first day of filming that.
Ah, the French champagne has always been celebrated for its excellence. Ah, the French champagne has always been celebrated for its excellence.
Look, I'm going to say this about that. They got their money's worth because he put in the research.
Yes.
They- That's what. If I were his agent, that's what I would say.
Yep.
That's what I would
wanted
say.
He wanted to vouch and sample that.
You're not going to
Paul
support.
Masson
You're not going to
is
support a
quality
product,
wine.
right? You're not going to support a product that you don't personally like and
Yes.
use.
And I get drunk off.
That's right.
Yes.
He wanted to make sure it would work.
Right. And he came and he was drunk.
It's all about the spin.
Yes.
If I were his agent, that's what
And he did read the lines.
He did.
Just not, expertly.
He thought he was interpreting the script
As a drunk man.
as right. He's like, how would this individual read this if he had several glasses of Paul Masson?
Of that fine Paul
Right.
Masson wine.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Ah, the French champagne has always been celebrated for its excellence.
Excellence.
Don't pay top tier actors if you don't want top tier acting interpretation of a script. That's all I'm saying.
That's right.
That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. Well, with acting breakdowns like this, I think that's a great transition to the official beginning of the entertainment entree. Go! All right, there it is.
And now, the latest in movies.
The Simpson guy writes to movies. Dear Die Hard, you rock. Especially when that guy was on the roof.
Music.
I know what that is. That's music.
Video games.
I'm Commander Shepard, and this is my favorite store on the Citadel.
Celebrities.
You really know Warren Beatty?
Yes, I do. I took a leak next to him once at the Golden Globes.
And more.
You were the all-singing, all-dancing crap of the world.
This is the entertainment entree.
I think my soundboard got drunk in the middle of all that.
You play too much Paul Masson.
Yeah, that's what happens. You get Orson Welles drunk.
The French champagne has always been celebrated for its excellence.
Oh, the soundboard doesn't do anything? That's what the soundboard was doing.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Anywho.
We do have serious news to get to.
Yes,
so
yes,
no more fun.
That's right. No more fun. It's serious
time to get to serious business because we did miss a serious story in the entertainment realm, and that is the fact that the Hollywood strike officially over with SAG coming to an agreement with what's
the AMPTP.
Ampt. Can we call it the Ampt?
I'm having a serious issue with my computer right now because every time we say the word. Stop.
Now your computer's drunk. Everybody's drunk.
The AI on my computer, whose name I will not say, it's the Apple one, keeps on reacting to the word serious.
Oh, whoops. Okay, so we have to not say.
I stopped it.
Serious.
It's good.
Okay.
All right. Because it was like transcribing everything.
Serious Black, how you doing over there?
It was like transcribing everything you were saying, and it's like I couldn't find that.
I do not understand what this man is talking about.
It's incomprehensible.
Why is this man still talking about Orson Welles? That's also what my wife says too, by the way. So that works out.
That's not surprising.
That tracks.
That's about 60% of the conversation. It's just Orson Welles.
Ah, my wife. She's over there in the room.
What's she going to do without you talking Orson Welles?
Yeah,
She's going to have to talk about Orson Welles by herself.
I guess that's what she's doing tonight.
Heartbreaking. But
anyway.
What's not heartbreaking, though, is the end of the Hollywood strikes. I'm going to try to reel this back in.
Yeah, come on. Yeah,
because the Hollywood strikes did officially end. They're over with SAG reaching an agreement with the AMPTP. They reached that deal last week. And I have the details here for everyone. There were 6 big takeaways from the contract. First, they get a pay increase, 7% wage increase this year, then 4% in 2024, and 3.5% in 2025. In addition to minimum compensation increases, they also get a success payment, quote-unquote success payment, for streaming projects that attract a significant number of viewers, and that's based on domestic streaming hours over the first 90 days compared to the total number of domestic subscribers. So they have like some kind of formula. They figure out, they crunch the numbers, how many hours did they watch out of how many viewers, and they get some kind of success payment.
Is it like the comp drafts formula? Nobody's going to know?
Probably. You know what? It wouldn't surprise me if all these streaming services started figuring out ways to make their shows just unlikable enough that they don't reach that number.
Yeah.
Because they get paid the same amount either way.
Right. Yeah.
They have no obligation to put out high-quality content. Let's just get that clear.
Yeah.
They might want to, though, because they are required now to just...
There you go.
Sure.
It'll be Pepsi Man.
It'll be Pepsi Man.
Just enough that like it's memorable to have a soundbite of it, but then
not
like,
memorable
I'm not
enough
going to watch Pepsi Man.
Right. You don't want to have to cut those checks for that success payment.
And you thought I was never going to use that sound clip ever again.
You shoehorned it in there. That was like spandex level stretching. You're like, come on, fit.
Just like Pepsi Man, though, it worked. Barely.
Barely.
Pepsi Man!
Back to the strike update, though. Just going to keep moving.
Yeah, keep moving.
These streaming services also have to disclose the total streaming hours for high-budget streaming productions. That's just to give actors an idea of, how many people their work is reaching, let them have better information for negotiations and whatnot, and just have a little bit of clarity on how they're being compensated. The big thing, though, is the protections against AI. This is the thing that was holding up the deal.
Yep.
We had talked about that. They got a lot of protections against AI. They now have language that requires producers to explicitly obtain consent to create and use digital replicas, is what they're calling them. Very ominous and dystopian.
Yeah.
They also have to specify how they intend to use the digital likenesses. So they can't just be like, oh, we're going to scan you. We're going to put you in some projects. They have to outline exactly how they're going to be used.
Why do I feel like that could have been like the beginning of like a Matrix or like a Talos Principle world, or
I completely agree. Like the language about it and just the concept is very, very dystopian sounding. Like very like
upload. Yeah. Like here's a digital replica of
like
you.
everybody wearing gray jumpsuits kind of future,
Yeah. Weird.
But luckily, if there are digital replicas, at least the performers are entitled to their usual compensation rates for the performance of the digital replica. So I don't know, it just all sounds very weird to me every time I say it. But that's why they wanted those protections, because it's going to happen. It's not ready yet. Like, we're not there yet, but SAG knew that this is where it's going to be. They're kind of future-proofing the language in the contracts for that eventuality.
Well, we heard about all the ridiculousness of, like, they wanted to scan actors and use them to future AI for one day of work. We heard that.
Right.
Another thing, too, is, like, this weird phenomenon of, like, trying to bring, like, actors back from the dead.
Yeah, I don't know if I really like that.
Yeah.
If somebody's dead, just let them stay dead.
I know it started out with Star Wars, ironically, with
Yes.
Rogue One and everything like that, and that is funny. But now it's, like, growing, because now they're using Harold Ramis as Egon in not just Ghostbusters Afterlife, but I bet you they're going to bring him back for the new movie they just announced.
And that's something I didn't put in the rundown, but if they can't get consent from the performer, they have to get it from the family or the estate. So they are protecting against stuff like that as well, because there could have been a very scary future where they're just making...
You don't think the estate isn't going to be like, free money, yes?
Yes, the estate will, but what it does is stop producers from just making replicas of anybody they want to after they're dead.
Yeah, but I think the barrier isn't high enough, if you catch my drift.
Yeah, I think there needs to be higher standards.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because at this rate, Harold Ramis is going to be a Ghostbuster forever. He's going to pop up in every single Ghostbusters entity.
Every movie, TV show, video game, audiobook.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean... But, we'll see where it goes. I mean, right now they got that language in there to protect against the use of AI in that way. We'll see just how people navigate those waters now they have those protections. But to go back to the AI protections for background actors, they also have language in there that requires a minimum number of background actors. Both the West Coast and East Coast will have the same number of minimum required actors. I didn't know that the coasts were different. Working in LA and New York, there were different regulations, but they changed that. They balanced them. And specifically, they're now required to have 25 background actors on TV shows, up from 22, and they're required to have 85 background actors for movies, and that's an increase from 57. So they're making sure they're not just replacing all the background actors with AI. They're required to have a set minimum, which I think is nice. Gives small-time actors a chance to get seen in projects and do work.
Yeah, but what happens? I don't know. Maybe I'm just naive on this, but what happens if like a story doesn't call for a ridiculous amount of people?
Honestly, I have no idea.
Yeah. You know, like what happens if you're doing like
if it's like a small talking head, like single.
Yeah, or something like based off of a play, or you know, I'm trying to think of something that wouldn't have. Yeah, like a Glengarry Glen Ross. Glengarry Glen Ross only has like 6 people.
Yeah, I guess that's. I would need to read the actual contract, but I guess that there's some kind of consideration in there. I guess they're talking about like
the major
films, like massive
TVs.
crowds and stuff. I mean, if there's no people in a script, they're not going to be like, we have to find a scene where you can have 85 people.
You must go out into a park.
I guess what they mean is in scenes where there are background people.
Okay.
They don't want them replaced with AI. They want there to be like you know, like imagine like battle scenes in Avengers.
Yeah.
Or like, you know, whatever.
Okay. That sounds more
that's what I'm assuming. Either that or we're going to see a lot of really weird movies.
Yeah.
It's like a tight family drama between like a mother and a daughter, and then all of a sudden there's like 85 people just hanging out in the living room.
Damn it, Billy's friends all came over tonight.
Why does he have so many?
When did he become the popular boy at school?
There's just like a house party scene in every single movie from now on. There's just exactly 85 attendees.
That's it. Woo!
For like 4 seconds.
Yeah, that's it.
But anyway. Another nice nod here to performers who are up and coming. They have relocation bonuses now for performers in series who relocate. They will get up to $5,000 a month for 6 months. So this obviously doesn't affect the Tom Cruises, but it affects the lesser-known actors and actresses who are doing series for, you know, various cable networks or streaming services. Because acting does require moving.
Yeah.
You got to be in New York or LA. They always say.
Rupert Grint had to be in Westchester or something.
Really?
Yeah, for
When?
Severance. Was that what he was on? Was that's the one on Apple TV? Severance, I think.
Was Rupert Grint in that show? Was that show shot in Westchester?
It was, yeah. One of those shows was
Severance.
What's the other? No, what's the other S show? Servant. No, it's Servant.
Servant.
Servant. Sorry, I always get them mixed up. The S's.
Severance was good. I never finished it.
Servant. That's the one. That was
you would like Severance if you ever got Apple TV Plus.
Yeah.
I didn't actually finish it, so I don't know, but I feel like you would.
Well, I'm sorry. You're the Apple over there. Sorry. Yeah.
Nobody can see on the video. I have a laptop.
No, you can kind of see it on the video.
No, I mean if you're not watching the video, you can't see it.
Well,
this thing.
Right. There you go. That's an Apple.
My podcast machine.
Yeah. Apple side over there.
Anyway, so that is the strike update. Really great protections for actors, and Hollywood can finally open back up, which is great because that means I can start covering what's coming up in entertainment.
Yeah, that's right. It's back. Mike's This Week in Entertainment.
And boy, I got some good stuff for everybody. First up in movies, The Hunger Games, The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes is the latest movie in the popular Hunger Games franchise. It is a prequel to the main trilogy. For those not in the know, The Hunger Games is about a dystopian world where child tributes from different districts fight to the death to earn food for their communities. This story specifically focuses on the main villain of The Hunger Games when he was a young man assigned to mentor a tribute in the 10th Hunger Games. The movie has average reviews, but fans will definitely appreciate the different perspective on that dystopian world and get to see an evolution of its greatest villain. So go check that out. But just for those people who lament Christmas starting too early, there's another film coming out. Finally, a Thanksgiving movie for everyone, simply titled Thanksgiving. It's a new slasher horror film with a short, sweet, and stupid premise. Quote, after a Black Friday riot ends in tragedy, a mysterious serial killer known only as John Carver comes to Plymouth, Massachusetts with the intention of creating a Thanksgiving carving board out of the town's inhabitants. Now, Rich...
As rain blows upon my foe's head,
that's right.
I knew there had to be a better way through this capitalist nightmare.
So, are you going to go see Thanksgiving to boycott the early start of Christmas every year?
I will boycott the early start of Christmas, but no, not with this.
I feel like you should be required to see this.
I don't know. This sounds wait. I would rather wait till this comes out on digital.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
It's probably going to be rough.
Yeah.
But if you don't want to go to the theater, check out some good TV shows coming out. A Murder at the End of the World is a new murder mystery series coming to Hulu. It seems to take cues from the classic story, And Then There Were None. 9 people are invited to an isolated retreat by a reclusive billionaire when one of them ends up dead. Then a young sleuth and hacker must prove that it was a murder and not an accident before the killer strikes again. It has a respectable 73 on Metacritic and an 86% on Rotten Tomatoes, so murder mystery fans should be in for a satisfying treat. And then we also have Monarch: Legacy of Monsters, a new Apple TV Plus spin-off series of the MonsterVerse films. It transitions between the 1950s and the present day as 2 siblings retrace their father's footsteps to learn about their family's involvement with a secret organization known as Monarch that has ties to the monsters appearing around the globe. So go check that out on Apple TV Plus. And that's what we're looking forward to this week in entertainment.
All right, so there you go. A welcome return to Mike's This Week in Entertainment. But you're not done, Mike. What else do you want to talk about?
Yeah, so we have a lot of Marvel news to get to in this segment. I want to start by talking some positive Marvel news with just mentioning that I was able to finish Spider-Man 2 on PlayStation 5 and give my official brief review because I want to avoid as many spoilers as possible.
And Mike is Mr. Spider-Man.
I am Mr. Spider-Man, and as Mr. Spider-Man, I can say that Spider-Man 2 was one of the best Spider-Man properties that I've ever experienced. The movies are fantastic. I'm a fan of the old cartoon series from the early 90s, but the stories in these PlayStation Spider-Man games have been so absolutely wonderful. They take tried and true Spider-Man stories and they flip them around and twist them just enough to make it fresh and unique and give you all of those classic Spider-Man moments that you're looking for. Fans of the first game will know what I'm talking about, where they take classic stories and kind of change them just enough to keep them fresh. And Spider-Man 2 does that again with some key villains. I'm not going to say too much because I don't want to get into spoilers, but the game does incredible justice to these villains, making them all incredibly interesting, layered, and it does a really good job of drawing out over the course of the game the sense of danger, tension, and stakes. But of course, a good superhero game has to have good gameplay, and Spider-Man 2 exceeds, far exceeds the original in that regard. They had new gadgets, quicker way of using all of your abilities and gadgets, new traversal methods. I found myself just, swinging and essentially flying through the city with the new web wing glider suit. It was just so much fun to just move through the environment. And if you've played the first game, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. The fast travel system is incredible. You can teleport anywhere on the map in under a second, but I only found myself using it sometime because I wanted to be in that city exploring and moving through it the way that I did. And it's really hard to talk about the game without spoiling a good portion of it, but I will say that this was such a nuanced approach to a classic Spider-Man character and story arc. If you've seen anything about the game, you kind of know what I'm referring to. You'll just have to play it to find out, though. It did it justice, unlike most other Spider-Man entities have done it.
Yeah.
So I'll leave it at that.
Yeah, that's for me because I'm behind on all my video games. I'm still
Yeah.
working on Jedi Survivor, so.
No, it's okay. You do that game justice because that was a good game, but then when you get a chance, you have to play Spider-Man 2.
Yeah. So there you go. Mike's official review as Mr. Spider-Man.
Oh, 10 out of 10, by the way, obviously.
Oh, there you go. All right. So there you go. Mr. Spider-Man officially giving his review.
Sure.
All right, but your duty is not done yet because there is negative news with Marvel.
Yeah, so I mean, they might turn to Pepsi Man to right the ship here. Pepsi Man! Because there could be a crisis at Marvel. This was a lengthy report published by Variety.com last week, talking about all of the issues that Disney and Marvel are facing in their film and TV franchises. Basically laying it all on the table. The legal troubles with Kang the Conqueror actor Jonathan Majors is causing huge problems internally at Disney. One insider said, quote, Marvel is truly effed with the whole Kang angle, and they haven't had an opportunity to rewrite until very recently. They are concerned that it could essentially tank Marvel. You know, the movies haven't been reaching the same commercial success as they once did, and there's growing concerns that the heyday of Marvel is over and that it's on its downswing now, that this could be, an era where Marvel kind of like fades into the background after what's it been, like 15 years of supremacy.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it could, when you think about Jonathan Majors basing their entire multiverse saga around this character, what happens if he goes to jail for the issues that he's facing, or if Disney doesn't want to have that as part of their image? They've already announced that he's the big bad. He's the face of the multiverse saga, Kang the Conqueror. That's causing them a lot of strife internally. So they're trying to figure out what to do about it. They have some unique suggestions. They could recast him.
I don't understand why that would be such a negative, though.
They could use the multiverse as an excuse.
Right. Like, you literally have the weapon in your pocket that is like, oh, it's a different variant, or it's a different timeline, or it's a different universe.
I guess it comes down to Jonathan Majors is actually a really great actor, and I don't think they want to.
Well,
they want to try and ride it out because he's a fantastic actor.
He is, but
his face is all over. Like, it's one thing to replace Rhodes, or the Hulk, but like to replace the main villain.
But, you got to look at the risk here. I mean,
you do.
He could be going to jail because of these domestic battery charges.
Yeah, if you don't want to recast him, you might have to.
Yeah. This might not even be a choice down the road.
So the other thing they could do to head that off is they could pivot away from him. And some people have suggested they could pivot to a new big bad such as Doctor Doom or someone else. I think that's really dangerous at this stage because they've put so much effort into Kang that pivoting away from that would require way more effort in rewriting than using the multiverse as saying like, oh, he looks different now, Yeah. So I don't know that
that seems like more complicated.
That seems very complicated to pivot away. Their last theory is to bring back the original Avengers.
No. No.
There's been rumors.
The answer is no.
That Robert Downey Jr. and Scarlett Johansson
No.
are working on a Marvel project to reprise their roles. What's the problem, Rich?
No. Then death doesn't have any consequence in this universe.
Yeah.
Like then there's no drama, there's no stakes, there's no tie, there's no emotional tie to these characters. No. No, you can't do it.
I think if they were to do that, they would shoot themselves in the foot.
Yeah.
Because you're absolutely right. I mean, death has always been flexible in comics, but some things at some point need to be permanent.
Yeah.
If viewers are, because yes, I hear it all the time. People are like, death isn't permanent in comics. I get that. But comic readers know that. Movie viewers do not. You have to think about your audience. There's overlap, but not that much.
Yeah.
How many comics have you read?
Star Wars.
Okay. I'm a huge Marvel fan. I'm not a Marvel fan of the comics. I'm a Marvel fan of the cartoons and the shows and the video games that I've been playing for 20 some odd years and the occasional odd comic. But there's a lot of people out there, I think, that are mostly movie viewers. And for them, death is permanent in movies. You have to think about the audience. I think that'd be a big disservice to fans, a big disservice to your story as well.
Yeah.
To just like, undo those amazingly powerful scenes by being like, oh, he's back because of time. That's so incredibly frustrating to me.
That would be such a cop-out, yeah.
It would be such a cop-out.
Yeah. And it takes away the stakes.
Yeah.
Because then anybody can be brought back from the dead at that rate.
And without stakes, there's no conflict. Without conflict, there's no story. You might as well just shutter the whole thing.
Yeah.
Which they won't do, but that's not the only problem facing Marvel. The report also cited fatigue from fans over a deluge of content post-pandemic. Another big one that has me concerned is the sloppy pre- and post-production periods that, people are using to blame bad visual effects. But some insiders are saying that it's just a symptom of a, quote, deeper rot of a lack of oversight on script development at Marvel. This is like very alarming language and quotes coming out from these sources.
What exactly is deeper rot? Because, that doesn't sound good.
The lack of oversight on script development. They're saying that the sloppy pre- and post-production that's coming up as bad visual effects and things like that is really just a symptom of the fact that there's no good script development. There's the bad scripts are leading to bad visual effects.
Okay.
Kind of thing. That the visual effects are just the symptom, not the cause. The cause is Marvel head Kevin Feige is stretched too thin.
Oh.
And he's trying to correct issues by pulling the plug on bad scripts and projects that aren't working. But this is making its own problems. Blade, which was supposed to come out this year, has had 5 writers, 2 directors, and a shutdown a week before production. So much so that Oscar winner Mahershala Ali was ready to leave the project over script concerns, which at one point featured a rewrite that basically relegated him to the 4th lead in a movie about Blade.
Yeah, it doesn't sound good.
So what these insiders are saying is that the pre- and post-production is just all over the place. They have no script oversight. That's causing issues with visual effects. That's causing crunch on timelines, rushed timelines, constant release shuffling. But
shouldn't that be Kevin Feige? Shouldn't that be his department?
It is, but when you're the head, nothing's ever your fault.
Well, I don't know. At some point, if there's this much dysfunction, it will be laid at his feet.
Yeah. It's really disheartening to hear this stuff come out about Marvel, and I hope they get it fixed sooner rather than later. I trust Kevin Feige because he has a knack for creating really great projects, but at a certain point, they're going to have to take a hard look and reassess what they want Marvel to be. So, what are the possible solutions? The way that I see it, they're acquisitions from Fox. Those could completely reinvigorate the MCU. You have Fantastic Four, Deadpool, and X-Men. Those are different stories than what we've seen in the MCU. They could use those to draw in new fans or to hype up old fans. Something new instead of just another Guardians of the Galaxy remix.
Right.
I also think that they really need to dial back the quantity of releases, and they've already said they're going to do that. I just casually counted on Wikipedia the number of projects. From phases 1 through 3, they had 23 films over an 11-year span, about 2.5 films a year. In just phase 4 and 5, they've had 12 films and 15 TV series from 2021 through 2025 planned. In 4 years, that's 27 projects.
Yeah, that's a lot.
And the TV series are a lot harder to watch than a 3-hour movie because, Loki's 8-hour-long episodes.
Yeah.
Who's got time for that?
Well, Loki was good. I liked Loki. But
I'm only 2 episodes into season
2. Captain Falcon.
Yeah, I still haven't seen Captain Falcon.
Yeah.
Or Hawkeye. Why are there so many bird heroes?
Yeah. And none of them are eagles.
No. That's the biggest disappointment.
Come on.
So they really need to
There should be a Marvel superhero from Philly and he's an eagle.
There should be.
What the hell? Come on, Marvel.
What would his name be? Mr. Eagle.
Mr. Eagle. Yeah.
I don't know.
John.
John.
John the Eagle.
John the Eagle. maybe that's another way to solve it is recalibrating expectations with smaller, more personal stories.
Like John the Eagle.
Like John the Eagle.
Perfect.
No, I think there's something to be said about those smaller stories. I think we got overly used to the big world-ending cataclysms. And after a while, like, I'm running into this problem where you see Thanos, you see Kang, you see the one who remains, who is Kang again.
Yeah.
You see the guy at the end of Guardians 3, who I can't remember his name anymore, but they're all the same person. And they're all like vague blue people that have like magic powers and are going to end the world by snapping their fingers. Like, I need a different guy. They're all four the same person.
Yeah.
Like, am I not right there?
No. Yeah. That's a trope in wrestling too. Is like you have to keep one-upping the story. So eventually you get to a point where you can't one-up the story anymore.
Yeah. It was always my biggest complaint when my brother used to show me like anime shows. He's like, this is the best fighter ever. This is the biggest bad guy. And I'm like, you said that about the last guy. And there's always like a new biggest bad, but you have this problem with escalation of forces where it just becomes ridiculous.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. So definitely understandable there.
So a lot of problems with Marvel. I don't think Marvel's going anywhere anytime soon, but these are things that they need to address.
Yeah. I do gotta say though, I liked Loki season 2. So if they could do more on that path, I would be happy.
Yeah, I'm only up to episode 2 so far. I've been behind. The first 2 episodes were a little bit of a struggle because the multiverse saga, I've really been struggling to grasp why any of it matters. Like, how do I put this? There's just too much going on that it seems like nothing is of import. You know?
Uh-huh.
Like, everything is a cataclysm, but nobody's acting like it. They're like, the world is ending. And then they, like, go back to 1880 for, like, a week.
Yeah, why not? Have some fun.
And they're just hanging out, having a good old eating popcorn. Like, the world is ending. Is there an issue with if a problem is too big, it's almost inconsequential? I think that's the problem I have early on with Loki season 2. Maybe it'll sort itself out as the season goes on. But I don't know, did you have the same experience in the early episodes?
No, I do feel like the first couple episodes kind of start slow.
Okay.
But they do pick up, so I would say stick with it.
All right. I'll stick with it.
Yeah.
And at some point I'll watch Captain Falcon, I guess.
I don't know about that.
It leads into the new Captain America Falcon.
All the Falcons. All right. When we're dealing with multiple bird creatures and bird heroes, I think it's a sign that we need to get to the final segment here on the Crispy Noodle Podcast, and that is the non-fortune cookie odd news.
We've been talking about cool and its ramifications and how it applies to the hip scene. But maybe you could give us some examples now of the opposite of cool, uncool. Just exactly what is uncool?
My nipples look like milk duds.
Holy shnikes.
It's time for the non-fortune cookie odd news.
It's not of this world. I don't know exactly what it is or what it's doing, but this is not human intelligence, okay? It's not human intelligence we're facing!
How you doing? Me? I'm doing great.
Manda bastards. I don't make this stuff up.
I'll take a pound of nuts.
That's a lot of nuts! That'll be $4, baby! You want fries with that?
I seen the celery dance across the baseball fields.
You had me at meat tornado.
No, go past this part. In fact, never play this again.
Okay. What does that mean?
And now it's time for the non-fortune cookie odd news.
So sit back, get everything you need to get from the kitchen. Be sure and empty the bladders. Go to the bathroom because you're in for a hell of a ride.
Woo, odd news.
That's right, everyone. It's time for the non-fortune cookie odd news. Here in this segment, Rich researches the news, he reads the news, and I react to the news. He finds a weird and wacky story and keeps it hidden from me, which ensures that all of my reactions are my genuine gut reactions to hearing these stories for the very first time. I don't know what's about to happen. You guys don't know what's about to happen. And even Rich doesn't know what's about to happen because these stories always take us down wacky and wild paths. and I'm ready to get started. Where are we heading to?
Here's one I don't know if we've been to in quite some time. Washington State.
No.
Not Washington, D.C.
You know what?
We're going to Washington State.
That's very unique that we haven't been there, because Washington gets a reputation of being a weird place.
Yeah.
But we haven't had a lot of weird stories from there over the years.
Well, here you go. Washington has made an entry.
Let's see what they got for us.
Yep. We're going to follow the case of 48-year-old Jad Shipman.
Did you say Jad? Or
Jad. J-A-D. That's his first name.
Jad.
Jad.
So like Chad, but they messed up.
Yes.
Okay.
Jad Shipman.
Jad Shipman.
Yep.
Right.
Yep. He was arrested last week following a Vice probe. Let's get into the nitty-gritty.
That's not good.
Yep. We're getting the nitty-gritty details here. The cops were able to get a sting on him after he contacted the online site service called TNA Board.
Oh boy.
Yeah, you might want to take a guess at what TNA stands for.
I'll just take a guess. I don't think I'm going to go there.
Yes, it is a site that inadvertently is used to try and find escort services.
Well, it was very erotic. Yes, indeed. It was erotic.
It was erotic.
Yep. So apparently that's a sting website there.
Oh boy.
This
is already bad.
Yep. As alleged in the probable cause affidavit, Jad Shipman was using the screen name The Malamute to The Malamute to offer to pay a user named Diane $440 specifically.
That's a weird amount.
Yep. But
why wouldn't it be a nice, like, simple number, like 400 or 500?
I'd buy that for $1.
Yeah. Or $1.
This is $440.
Okay.
Well, this might be why. Because according to the police and the police report and the sting user that went by Diane, they claim that this man, Jad Shipman, not only wanted to have the hooker, if you will,
right,
in the sexual services, but also wanted to, quote, have the woman be involved in sexual contact with his pet miniature horse. What? Whoa!
That's
talk about a weird threesome.
That should cost way more than $440. That's the only thing I took away from that. $440 for that?
Yeah.
Diane, your prices are way out of whack.
Diane, which, by the way, this is an actual undercover cop.
Right. There's no Diane.
No. But the Diane undercover cop provided police with copies of explicit messages that Jad Shipman was sending to her, including a specific reference to the phrase hot mare.
Oh, my God.
I guess that's what he calls this sex act. It'll be some hot mare action.
That
was a bit of a nastiness last night, yes? Some very extreme nastiness, yes? Yes.
Oh, that makes me so uncomfortable.
Oh, no. We're going to get a little more.
No. Oh, no.
Get ready. Strap yourself in, Mike.
Oh, boy. All right.
Because in one of the messages, he provides exact detail of what he wants.
Oh, my God.
Including the specific position.
Oh, no.
He wants to have the Diane play with the horse genitalia while she is sitting on his member.
Oh, my God. What?
Well, it was very erotic. Yes, indeed. It was erotic.
That's his preferred position. That's what he wants.
Jeez.
For $440. He's really thought this out. Like he's had a game plan. He wants his desired tastes.
I'm just going to say this. I think he's done this before.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't think you get to that point where you have that much thought out and not have done something like that?
Well, I'll tell you what. He did confess that he tried to ask 2 other escorts before Diane to do this,
Well,
and both said that that it was, quote, outside their comfort zone, and both denied him.
Yeah, especially for $440. Yeah, at least, I don't know, like triple. No, more than triple. Like, you got to do like 10 times that amount, I think.
Yeah.
At least.
Shipman admitted that he found the idea of a woman licking the horse's private parts to be very exotic. Yes, that's right.
Well, it was very erotic. Yes, indeed. It was erotic.
I just had another thought occur to me. Did he purchase this tiny horse for this sole purpose? Oh my God.
And he says that he would watch the website, what was the website? TNA board. He would watch the TNA board's, quote, fetish section of the website and would hope to find more agreeable clients that would have contact with him and his miniature horse.
Oh, God. That poor miniature horse.
Yeah, well, you know.
Man, it makes perfect sense. A guy whose name is Jad.
Yeah. Why would you name your kid Jad? You're already setting him up for failure.
I think if you name your kid Jad, yeah. It sounds like they wanted to say Chad, but messed up.
Yeah. Are you sure about this, Jad?
You
said
Jad with a J, not Chad? Oh, my God. Hot mare.
Yeah, hot mare action.
So gross.
The investigator that was in charge of the sting was able to find that Jad had 2 miniature horses.
He has 2 of them?
Yes, on his land. He had a 7.5 acre property. And apparently he's married. And the wife did not know any of this.
Oh, no.
Boy, that's an awkward way to get busted.
No, God! No, God, please, no! 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 No!
The wife was really confused when he suddenly took an interest in raising miniature horses.
Yeah.
That's an awkward conversation.
I want me some glory hole.
It's a big glory hole.
Yeah.
I mean, well, maybe not. It's miniature.
I want me some glory hole.
It's a miniature horse. Oh my God.
Yeah. So a judge released Shipman on $1,000 bail and ordered him to not have any contact with any animals.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Yep. His case has been referred to lower district court for lesser charges, according to the most recent police record.
Jad Shipman with his miniature horses.
Yeah, well, he won't be owning horses anytime soon now.
Creepy.
He has been ordered to not have any contact with any animals now from here on out.
Does that mean if he's like walking through a park and like a squirrel runs across his path, does he have to run in the opposite direction to get away from it?
Technically, I guess.
Could he be arrested if like a bird like lands near his house?
He's got to have no contact with animals.
What if he like steps on an ant? Like there's a bug in his house. And he steps on. Is a bug an animal?
Call the cops. That's
Call
a
the
murder.
cops. Get him. He
That's
murdered.
a moida.
That's a moida.
Call the cops.
Man, I'm just so perturbed that. Well, one, just the whole thing in general, but 2, the fact that he thought $440. I can't get over. Like that's such a low amount.
I just want to know the calculus involved in coming to 440.
Yeah, he's like, well, yeah, like how do you even begin like crunching the numbers? You're like, oh, let me.
What's the
Let me find
rate?
the industry standard for miniature horses.
Yeah, what's the Kelly Blue Book rate?
Yeah, what's the going rate? Oh my God. He landed on $440 exact.
Yeah.
And he didn't think it was suspicious at all that this person was like, yeah, that's fine.
Yeah. Well, he thought if I was
That's
around the
right.
fetish area.
He was in the fetish area.
I was
yeah.
going to find something like that.
There was a bit of a nastiness last night, yes? Some very extreme nastiness, yes? Yes.
That's so weird. And he brings this horse. I assume he thought he was going to go to a hotel room. How do you get the horse into the hotel room?
Oh, no. I imagine he would do it on his property. He's got seven.
With his wife there?
He's got 7.5 acres.
He's like, I'm good. I guess maybe. He's like,
That's a big chunk of land.
I'm going to go ride my mini horse.
I'm going to go.
I'll be back.
I'm going to go all the way to the other side of our property, and I'll be back in 4 hours.
I guess. Yeah. He could do it on his 7 acres.
That's a big amount of land.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
And I'm sure there's probably wooded areas in that 7 acres.
A wooded area, a barn and something.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess.
He's actually got a little mini horse hotel. There's a little power line that runs out. You could set some mood lighting.
Lighting for the horses.
A little mini refrigerator. Yeah,
Everything's mini for the mini horses.
Right, exactly.
He also. Let's get one thing straight. He purchased those horses for that.
He had
I
to.
don't think he was just a horse aficionado, and then he's like, "Oh, wait a second."
Yeah.
I don't think you just stumble into something like that. I think he got those horses for that purpose.
One day I tripped and I fell, and I caught a whiff. I don't know.
A whiff. Oh,
I don't know. What else?
Oh my God.
How else would it suddenly occur?
One day
it rubbed up on me. I don't know.
You're just out there mucking the stalls. And
Oh,
that's the hook.
That's at the end. Oh, that's it. That's when it clicked.
That's actual audio.
Yes.
From. That's Jad.
That's Jad at the end.
That's Jad.
That's Jad. That's him at the end.
Oh man.
That's when it clicked.
Washington. You come to the odd news. You come to this table and you bring one of the most reprehensible stories that we've heard in a while.
Yeah.
For shame.
But
I've reprimanded the state of Washington.
That's bold.
That is bold.
Yeah. And he said he did it with a couple of other escorts. He asked them.
He's just shooting his shot everywhere, man.
Yeah.
He's just
going for it.
You miss 100% of the shots you don't take.
How inspirational, Mike.
Look, Jad, he's just Jad.
He's just Jad.
He's just Jad.
He's
just Jad. I'm just Jad. I'm gonna that's the Barbie sequel.
I don't know if people want to see that sequel.
No, they don't.
No.
That can't be shown in theaters.
No, that's an NC-17 rating.
Oh yeah.
But there you go.
Jad Shipman. What a creep.
Yep. And that's what I have for you this week in the non-Fortune Cookie Odd News. Just Jad.
Just Jad.
Good job, Washington State. Finally cracking their way into the odd news with that story.
In the grossest way possible.
Yeah. But there you go. That is what I have for you in the odd news, and that is what we have for you on this week's podcast, which we are now wrapping up. We got to start ending it. Thank you guys for listening to our hijinks and supporting us even when we're on a bye week like the Eagles. If you like what you heard, make sure you go to our website, thecrispynoodle.com. Make sure you follow us on all the social media platforms, Facebook, X, Instagram. Still X. I still don't like it.
It's annoying.
Yeah. But most importantly, make sure you have a way to get our episodes sent to you every week when we do get together and we do record and we're on track like we hopefully are.
Yep.
There's 3 main ways to do that. The first one is on YouTube. Go to our YouTube page and hit the subscribe button so you get the episode sent to your YouTube account. The second way is on Facebook. You can watch us right on Facebook Watch, so you're good to go right there. And number 3 is on Spotify. We post the video podcast on Spotify, so you can get it right there. But also, you can listen to us in the background on Spotify and listen to us as an audio-only podcast. And you can listen to us on the go using Android Auto and Apple CarPlay. So you can take us literally in your car and listen to the newest episode of the Crispy Noodle Podcast.
That's right. So many ways to check out the Crispy Noodle Podcast, but if you need to get in touch with us individually to share your sports, entertainment, and odd news stories, you can find us on X, formerly known as Twitter. Yeah. I'm at Mikey Costanzo, MikeyCostanzo.
And I'm at Rich Liebig, RichLiebig. Find us on Twitter, on X, whatever it's called.
X us,
and let us know what's happening in your world. And if you have a topic you want us to talk about on next week's episode, odd news goes to me, so Mike doesn't see it. But if you do, and we talk about it, we give you a sausage shout out. So let us know what you want us to talk about. But for right now, we got to wrap it up. This has been the Crispy Noodle Podcast. Let us be the Crispy Noodle in your vegetarian salad of life and boring news. That'll do it. We'll see you guys next week.
See you guys.
Later. Bye-bye, all you fine peoples. Good night.
Some of us have great stories, pretty stories that take place at lakes with boats and friends and noodle salad. A lot of people, that's their story. Good times, noodle salad.